Have you ever wondered how Santa's reindeer get that job done, taking Santa all over the world on Christmas Eve and delivering all those presents? Well, I had the same question. So I went to the big library that we have here at Oklahoma State University and looked up some things about reindeer that I thought might help me understand this just a little bit better. And one of the first things I found out was that reindeer have been domesticated, and that means they've just been used as helpful animals around the place or even as pets. They've been used that way for over 5,000 years. And we know that Santa, we don't know how old he is, but we know he's no spring chicken. So there's no doubt in my mind that between Santa and the reindeer being together that long, they know their way around. They're not going to get lost. Now, some people may be concerned about whether those reindeer get a little bit cold as they fly up above the earth on a Christmas Eve. Well, it turns out that reindeer have a coat that actually has two different layers. And that combination of those layers holding that air gives them a really, really warm coat to where they're not even cold up there in that area around the North Pole. And so flying around the earth is certainly going to be no problem for them. Now, some of us may be worried about, whether they're going to have enough food, enough feed to make it through the whole trip around the earth. Well, let's study about reindeer again. They're ruminants. That means they're kind of like the cattle we have here in Oklahoma. And they have 4 different compartments to their stomach so that there's lots of area, lots of room for them to utilize and hold the feed that Santa gives them. Water, whether they get thirsty, think that's going to be a problem? I don't, because reindeer living around the North Pole where it's frozen all the time, they're used to getting their water from ice and snow. And so as they stop on a rooftop that's got a little snow on it, they can get a drink. Or if they're in the southern climates, they can just go by somebody's swimming pool and get a drink. Now, that business about them flying, that one was a tough one. And we did some work on that. But first thing I found out when I did my research was that reindeer, when they're full grown, have an antler that's about 4 foot long on each side. Okay, so they've got 4 feet on each side for each reindeer, then they have 8 foot of antler span. On Christmas Eve with the 8 reindeer, that's 64 feet of antler span that they've got. And if it's a foggy Christmas Eve, you better add another 8 for Rudolph. That gets you up to 72 feet. I went out to the local airport here at Stillwater and stepped off the wingspan of a Cessna Cub that was sitting out on the tarmac, and the wingspan on that plane was only 36 feet. There's a couple other things about reindeer that I want to clear up. Perhaps you've heard the song that talks about up on the rooftop, click, click, click. That one's true, because reindeer have a tendon that go over the knee that actually makes a clicking sound as they move. And so we can tell that they're really Santa's reindeer if we hear that clicking sound on our roof on Christmas Eve. So I'm going to go to bed early on Christmas Eve because I don't want Santa to miss my rooftop with his reindeer this year, and I think you ought to do the same. And so let's wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time on Sunup's Cow Calf Corner.